Hi. If you're anything like me, you want to make a good game, whether it be right now or maybe sometime in the future, and you want people to actually play it. And I have to break some very unfortunate news. I don't think you can make a good game while at the same time protecting your ego, which is just devastating because I have a fat ass ego. Now, abandoning your ego is easier said than done. Take it from me, I am literally saying it right now, and I have still quite a bit of work to do on myself. But at the very least, on my journey there, I've learned these 3 rules about making a good game. 1, show your shitty game to people early and often. 2, stop protecting the parts of your game that just don't work. And 3, believe that you are capable of making a better game than you've thought possible. Because it's true. Now, these aren't groundbreaking by any means, but they are certainly things that I need to hear over and over again. And so maybe you do too. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll believe a bit more in yourself as a game dev, because I want all of us to succeed in our game dev dreams. Selfishly, I want more good games in the world. So if you win, I win. The biggest challenge of being a primarily solo game dev is not actually the game dev part, it's the solo part. Now don't get me wrong, working on your own has some benefits. You get complete creative control, you don't have to wear pants, and you're kind of forced to learn everything. But the drawbacks are real too. Working solo can give this false sense of protection. We don't have to share our game, so sometimes we just don't. When I started building my game, I was convinced that I wouldn't let another soul look at it until I deemed it good. But after a few weeks of staring at my code for hours and hours every single day, testing it over and over again, I hit a breaking point. I think every person who's undertaken a creative endeavor has had this feeling before. You're so close to your work that you just can't tell if it's good anymore, and then you start to spiral. Have I just spent months working on a piece of trash? Shit, why am I even trying? What should I have for dinner tonight? Why did I even think this was good? Maybe I'll have ground beef. God damn, I love ground beef. I look like such an idiot. Yeah, I'll have ground beef. Raw ground beef. Can you eat raw ground beef? So what's the solution? Get out of your own head and hand the freaking thing to other people. And even to my own surprise, I actually did that. I started scheduling playtests every other week or so, and after the first few, I realized something. I was waiting until my game was good to show it to people. But the way to make the game good is by showing it to people. Hello! The early playtest is less about testing the game and more about understanding what the player wants from it. From the first time you show it to people to when you put out the final thing, it should change a lot if you're doing it right. For my playtests, I didn't tell them what to do or give them any tasks to complete. I just sort of watched what they naturally did. In my game, you play as someone working this soul-sucking bullshit kind of job where you do things like type or reply to emails day after day in order to get by. When I started sharing my game early in the process, I was risking finding out that it sucks. And yes, I found out much of it sucks. But that actually wasn't a real risk to the game. It only harms your ego. It's actually to the benefit of the game that I find out what sucks before things are too set in stone in later builds. And this is why I found it especially important to do early playtests. The feedback you get can help shape the game rather than retroactively fix it. Like if you are an athlete, maybe you're a runner for instance, you're not gonna wait to get feedback from your coach until the night before the race. The things they tell you at that point aren't gonna be very helpful because you've already spent months training the way that you did. Changing something right now is going to be very difficult. Ideally, you have your coach watching for months from the very start of your training block. They can give you feedback all along the way that doesn't just correct what you're doing wrong, but actually helps shape your whole approach to training. And to me, playtesting is kind of like that. To get the most from it, you should start early. Stephen King has this rule for writing: cut 10% from your first draft. In game dev, you're not necessarily making your game shorter, but I think the idea still applies. If there's fluff, if the player is confused, if they aren't finding it enjoyable, cut and change quickly. No part of the game can be safe from change, no matter how attached you are to them. Before the first round of playtests, I had just added this new minigame where you merge files together in order to make some money. But when I put it in front of my playtesters, they did not find it rewarding at all. The files took too long to merge, and the meager sum of money you made was just not worth the trouble. Now, finding this out does not mean I automatically have to throw the whole idea away, but it does mean that something has to change, which is a hard pill to swallow because I was kind of attached to it. I had spent hours getting the thing to work, and I was so happy when it finally did. But unfortunately, no one pats you on the back just because you put your effort into something. Setting your ego aside to take the feedback from playtests is kind of like getting punched in the face repeatedly. It'll hurt, but maybe each time it'll hurt a little less. So when you just observe where your players are finding enjoyment in your game, and especially where they are not finding any enjoyment, you're allowing the things in your game to die when they need to make room for the right things to grow. The weird part about building a game, or really undertaking any creative endeavor that you're passionate about, is that you have to put your heart and soul into it, while somehow at the same time not being attached to any particular part of it. I think it takes being able to see the game as its own thing and not yours. It's kind of like how when my dogs get sick. You know the thing that dogs do sometimes when they need to puke in the middle of the night? So they start making this weird noise, and then you wake up in a panic, and then you realize what's happening, and you don't want them to puke on the carpet, so you try to get them off the carpet and into the living room where you have vinyl flooring so you don't have to clean the carpet, but you don't make it, and they just puke in the middle of the carpet. Just me. In those moments, I'd love to be asleep, but if my dogs need to puke, they need to puke, and I love them. Look at these guys. Aww. If your game needs to puke, let it puke, and you gotta clean that mess up simply because you love the game. Breaking news, failing is actually necessary for success. Shocking. But I honestly thought I could somehow avoid failing altogether if I did things right the first time. You see, failure can be mistaken as a sign to stop trying, when I actually think it's more of a sign of trying. Every day I sit down to work on my game, the imposter syndrome is always in the back of my mind, and I'm constantly arguing with it. I am not a professional game developer. I don't even have a formal coding background or a formal art background. Most days I feel like a complete idiot who has no idea what he's doing. And that's probably true. But at the very least, I'm an idiot who is trying. So in my opinion, if you just keep trying, you are 100% capable of building a great game. Because when we do fail, it gives us the possibility for growth. Shocking. So the question still stands. Do you want to make a great game? Or do you just want to make a game? The latter is easier. You just make anything and put it out there whenever you decide it's ready. But if you want to make a great game, you have to separate yourself enough from it to put it out there over and over and over again before it's any good. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Okay, good to go.